A number of the world's largest banks are going forward with stablecoin technology. Will the XRP system be looked at? I have a lot of information to share with you, and I'm sure it will be useful. This also points to a bigger problem. Banks are having trouble making their own technology. This is the XRP futures, and Sal from Tuhari, in fact, he is telling us why he thinks institutions will quickly accept the XRP ledger. We will also look at some new details since the BRICS new note was released in Russia. That's some pretty cool money right there. Also, there's more about XRP at the end of this page that you need to read. Let's begin with Sal. We know that they bought a business called Hidden Road, which is used by many hedge funds, traders, and regular people as a prime dealer, okay, and to settle deals and clear trades. Imagine being able to change one thing into another almost instantly, like dollars into a foreign currency or any other currency into a commodity. Everything in that list will end up on the blockchain in the end. Every single one of those deals will end up on the blockchain. He just said the same thing about how institutions can change from a safe coin to any kind of tokenized value on the ledger. That's another reason I believe some banks like JP Morgan, Citibank, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo are all acting in the same way. It's through their different brokerages that they clear and pay different securities. They also do FX transfers, which are moves between countries and currencies. This works great with what the XRP system, XRP and Arlus can do. Have Sal keep this going from here on out. The token is XRP. It's important to note that they have a steady coin in order for these things to happen. All of that is going on in the background. It's not simple. It's hard to explain. Even though I'm not very good at describing things, I can tell you that it's here and it works. In Asia, it's being used very badly. In the US, it wasn't used or accepted faster because it wasn't clear what the rules and punishments would be. Truth be told, banks were scared they would get in trouble for entering the crypto world when they weren't supposed to. Now that that is gone, the rules and rights for what people can do are clear. People are going to quickly switch to because it's a better tool. Why wait 2 or 3 days to settle something when you can do it right away? If you don't do that, that doesn't make sense. And the only thing stopping people from doing that is rules. So don't be scared. The second reason is that people are afraid of the rules, so they are being accepted slowly. Okay, so the build out is slow, but things are going to speed up a lot more than they have. Nothing will change quickly, but things are changing now, and they will change even faster from now on. We are also going to see how ripples are changing Wall Street. Wall Street is being changed. They're not the only business that does it. Anyway, we think they're the ones who are the most ahead of the curve and will really make waves. Wow, there are a lot of really interesting things said here. Every Tuesday and Friday at 3:30 p.m., I live stream on both YouTube and Twitter, so you can join me on either one. YouTube is likely the best place to be if you want to really talk to people and ask them questions. Of course, people ask these kinds of things all the time. For example, why hasn't XRP DeFi been built out? Just think about what it would be like to be a crypto creator who wants to release a project that people will use and that will do very well. You would be changing the way things are done in the financial world. It sounds like you want to grow on a network that is already very big. Everything is going well where other builders are working on projects. There is a lot of money moving around. When the SEC brought a case against Ripple, people who wanted to build on the XRP system didn't have to fight as hard after that. So they went to other places and built there. But now that we know how the case will end, there is a new DeFi boom on the XRP system that will help our cause and what we're trying to do here a lot more as more people use XRP and other assets on the XRP system. Okay, so I wanted to know more about what would happen if JP Morgan, Citibank, and Wells Fargo all worked together to make a stablecoin. It goes without saying that having someone else's stablecoin could be risky. I said wouldn't there. What other dangers do you see? What kind of blockchain do you think this would be built on? Would they use Ethereum, XRP, or something like Circle? Okay, let's begin. So this is why big US banks like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and others are looking into starting a joint stablecoin project to make payments more modern and compete with crypto NAV platforms like Tether and Circle. For infrastructure support, this union would use groups such as Zell's Early Warning Services operator and the Clearinghouse. Here is a thorough look at how this would work. It means we have both supply and backing. The stablecoin would be pegged to the US dollar like these other US-backed stablecoins. US dollar-backed stablecoins or treasuries. This would keep the price fixed. A group of people would handle the reserves together, and they would be audited regularly to make sure everything was clear. Governance. Under the shared governance model, power would be spread among the banks that are involved. This would make it so that decisions about minting or redeeming money and managing reserves would need to be agreed upon by all of the banks. You need to think about all of this. Who makes the decisions? Does each bank have one person? Does a group of people get together every morning to decide whether to mint or do something else? All of these things are things they need to think about and move forward with. Cross-border payments, integration with current banking infrastructure, Zelle and other peer-to-peer transfers, and the settlement of treasury options by institutions are all examples of use cases. Of course, there are also these other risks. There are risks with counterparties, the system as a whole, and operations. There are also legal hurdles, such as the Genius Act finally being passed and implemented. There are a lot of tech choices that could be made. Of course, Ethereum has a lot of liquidity because its ecosystem is so developed. Advis stablecoin, custodial banks, and legal precedents for DeFi integration. From their point of view, this is an example of a stablecoin that works, but high gas prices and problems with scaling could stop a lot of people from using it. The XRP ledger costs are very low at 0 to 1002 and has an end time of 3 to 5 seconds. It's great for payments because it supports USDC natively and has compliance tools like KYC. Ripple RLUSD stablecoin shows that it can work by meeting bank standards. Ripple actually built a $500 million 0-cent stablecoin in just a few months, which proves that they can do it. One example is RLUSD. They could also use private or permission chains, which would probably be a good middle ground choice for keeping control. JP Morgan's JPMD coin that can be used with other tokens. Just being clear here. JP Morgan has used Ethereum to build different things. That's why I think they're easy, but you also have Bank of America has done a lot of work with XRP and Ripple. You might be wondering who will win this argument over what technology will be used. They also talk about the business environment. The group would go up against Circle and Tether directly by giving regulatory trust, bank-backed reserves through holdings of opaque commercial paper, institutional access, and easy integration with existing banking systems. People who talk about how fast and cheap a banking consortium stablecoin could be compared to standard SWIFT networks say that it could change the way payments are made. But it comes with a lot of risks, especially regulatory problems and exposure to counterparties.